Good morning, everyone. My name is Joanna, and today I'm going to talk to you about healthcare intake packet. What's the purpose of an intake packet? Often patients are handed a form to fill out but do not receive a proper explanation as to why it is necessary for them to provide the required information. Without the proper information, patients are hesitant to provide all of the necessary information. Patients will provide personal information, health, and insurance information, and we must track everything while meeting HIPAA requirement. Our goal is to provide quality care and to make the admission process as fast and accurate as possible. Another important reason all forms must be filled out correctly and signed and dated is to keep us from any lawsuits. If it's not documented, then there's no proof. Here is a list of important forms that should be explained to the patient. The admission intake forms. Demographic financial responsibility form. This form is where the patient identification goes. First and last name, race, gender, date of birth, address, emergency contact, and most importantly, primary insurance information. If it's a minor, then legal guardian information would be filled out. History and physical form. This form is asking questions about the patient, history and health-related issues, or any past illnesses and the history of family members. This form can help in determining the illness that prompted the patient to come in for a visit. Consent for treatment. This form is very important. It gives the healthcare organization permission to provide treatment, to obtain any payment for billing, or consent to conduct any healthcare operations. Notice of privacy practice form. This form describes HIPAA, which explains the patient's rights related to use and disclosure of the patient's health information. Patient's right form. This form is basically for the patients. The patient may or may not have to sign. This form describes what his or her rights are as a patient. Sometimes a handbook or summary is given to the patient explaining further details. Power of attorney form. Most healthcare providers provide this form, which states that another person will make decisions on your behalf in case you or for any reason become incapacitated or incoherent. They are allowed to make long and short-term decisions. DNR form. Also known as do not resuscitate. Some patients may request this form stating they do not wish to be given CPR if he or she stops breathing. The patient's record disclosure form. This form gives the organization permission to share or release your medical records to other providers. An informed consent is also known as the consent form I mentioned before, which is a signed agreement between you and the healthcare provider that gives permission for care, treatment, or services. You have the right to ask questions and receive information before any procedures and treatment. Signing a consent form means you received and understand all information regarding treatment operations. Explanation of the privacy policy. This notice describes how health information about the patient may be used and disclosed and how they can get access to this information. Please remind patients to review it carefully. The privacy of the patient's health is important to us. We use and disclose health information about the patient regarding their treatment, payment, and health operations. Our legal duty. We are required by applicable federal and state law to maintain the privacy of patients' health information. We also require to give them a notice about our privacy practice and legal duties and their rights concerning their health information. If they do not sign this consent form agreeing to our privacy of practice, we cannot treat. It is very important that we explain this part and encourage our patients to sign. The Code of Ethics. We take medical ethics seriously. Ethics can help resolve disputes between family, patients, physician, and other parties. When people operate on emotions, it makes it difficult to come to a logical and fair decision. Ethics helps make decisions. Our staff will focus more on being ethical rather than making money. Using ethics can help maintain the respect between our patients. Ethics are based on values and reasonings, and it is used to persuade the message across. Important values to consider when thinking medical ethics can also be by showing respect for patients and families. Show respect to the value and beliefs of the patients and tell the truth. Remember to gather the facts needed to make a decision and present the decision in a way that wins the confidence of all the patients. Three Mountains Regional Hospital Codes of Ethics will cover our rules, regulations, and expectations we demand from all our staff and employees. When deciding ethical issues, we will use 4 basic values or principles for better decision making and understanding what is right and what is wrong. Autonomy. We will honor the patient's rights to make his or her own decisions about medical treatments. Before the patient can make a decision, they must be fully informed of all risks and benefits of the procedure. Beneficence. We will help patients advance their own good. Our procedures will be developed with making sure we are doing what is right for our patients. Our healthcare providers will develop, maintain skills and knowledge, update our training, and strive for net benefit. Justice. We will ensure that all patients are treated equally, fairly, and importantly. Non-maleficence. Our healthcare provider will minimize at best the harm or will do no harm to patients. Our ethical values do not only consist of those 4 principles. Our ethical values will also include patient's relations. The relationship between the patients and the physicians are based on trust, and we as employees serve the patient's need. The healthcare providers have an ethical responsibility to place the patient's needs before their own. Physicians' activity. Three Mountains Regional Hospital physicians will hold dignity and honor of the profession and accept self-imposed discipline. Billing for services. It is our ethical duty to maintain timely records and accurately record and bill for services provided. We will not misrepresent or falsify services provided. Under no circumstances will we commit medical fraud. Political activities. Morality involves following to a specific belief system or a code of conduct. It can be political or personal beliefs. Ethic is based on facts and logic. Anyone can still have a political view and a religious faith. Our providers will know how to set them aside when offering an ethical opinion for those who do not follow their personal morality. Conflict of interest. What our physicians think is the right choice, decision, or interest for the patients may not always be what's best for them. If our employees wish to be ethical, they need to avoid situations where the employees benefit and shall not be disloyal to the patients. Communications. Physicians, staff, and employees are committed to making thoughtful decision-making and responsible thinking. We will take full ownership in the message we relay to our patients. We will show dignity and human's worth when communicating any medical information to patients. The privacy. Three Mountains Regional Hospital promises to appropriately use data, monitor unauthorized access to the private data. When collecting data about a patient, have the right to access their own records. When collecting data about a patient, we will make sure it is complete. Make data availability to patients, and patients will have the right to access their own records. Our goal is the protection of our patients' privacy, and it is urgent and complex. Here's an explanation of what HIPAA stands for. Health Information Probability Act. The law was enacted to improve the healthcare system's effectiveness and efficiency. This law provides standards and requirements to protect the patient's healthcare information from being shared. When you think of HIPAA, you think of confidentiality. In 2001, the privacy rule was enacted, stating that permission must be sought out to share information. One of the rules was the security of electronic health information, with standards protecting the confidentiality and integrity of individuals' identifiable health information, past, present, and future. Here at Three Mountains Regional Hospital, our employees have sworn into a statement to protect our patients' medical records. This includes any medical information that identifies the individual. We will not share any information with any third-party organizations without their consent. HIPAA's four main objectives are improving the probability of health insurance, combating fraud, abuse, and waste in healthcare, promoting the expanded use of medical savings account, simplifying the administration of health insurance. Thank you. That is all for this presentation.